Hi, everybody. We're here. I don't know how many of you are out there. I can see some people in the chat already, and um, getting excited, riding the wave of change. I've seen so much of it since I've been really keeping track of it. Um, got 10 folks out there. That's good. For those of you who don't, oh, I just realized my hair decided to fly away again. Okay. For those of you who don't know, when we talk about the candles, what we're talking about is I have a ceremony every once in a while, and I always tie it around a date, a time, a thing. The first time I did it, it was in Christmas season in 2020. Anyway, we take 9 days, actually 10 days, because we have a day where we introduce the whole thing to everybody. Then we burn a different candle. And the original candle ceremonies I did were 9 red candles. And then last time I did candles coming up to the equinox. Was it the equinox? Yeah, it was the equinox. Um, I was told they needed to be green, and because we were starting into a whole new growth cycle, so we burned 9 green candles, and I found the coolest little green candles. They were shaped like cactuses. It was a lot of fun, and we do a prayer every day, and then I have a different reader with me, and we just discuss that topic. This time, I was told there was no one color. Believe it or not, these are 2 different colored candles. They don't show up like it, but and that I'm to base 7 of the days on the chakra, and then the other 2 days I just have open to do whatever I want to read about. But there's always kind of something I've run into a lot of in when I'm reading about things, and one of the things that has interested me greatly is the energetic changes that are going on in the universe. And if you don't know what those are, let's see, how many are 26, right? That's why I call. That's why I'm going to call this cycle of candles called riding the wave, because we're having all kinds of new energetic waves that scientists have kind of knew were there, but they couldn't really define them. And literally in the last 2 weeks, there have been major articles about 3 of them, and some of them are funny. Um, if you don't know about the photonic change, that's in 2017. The our part of the Earth and our solar system in the galaxy rotated out of a place where there was a shield. Of course, we didn't know it was there because it had been there for like 10,000 years. So we didn't know it was going away. But we did know something was going on every 13,000 years because it was in the rocks. And I learned about that from studying minerals before I even heard about the photonic energy. And you say, what was in the rocks? Well, some kind of energetic shift happened over the earth, and it actually left changes in the molecular structure of rocks. And they saw it at 13,000 years, and they thought, oh, well, that's interesting. Then they found it at 26,000 years. Then they found it at 39,000 years. And every time you go back 1,300 years, um, 13,000 years, there'd be this shift. There was this change in the rocks. And so they couldn't seem to find any earthbound reason for it. So they just kind of waited. And all of a sudden, in 2017, we rotated out where we were getting much higher subatomic particles hitting the earth. And it's grown exponentially since then. And one of the things they feel like it's doing is, and this is what occurred to me when I heard it was changing the crystalline structure of rocks. What's it going to do to people? What's it going to do to our DNA? What's going to do to us? And I actually found the first time I did a show on this was 2 years ago, and I did it right after 88 Lionsgate. And Danny and I did a thing about vibrations because we were getting the impression the research was heading that all the vibrations in the earth are changing, and is it going to speed it up for us? And I know we don't think any of it's moving fast enough, but trust me, it's speeding us up. It is changing our DNA on a molecular level. So then I got to thinking, and this is when I really became aware of all this, is after COVID had struck. And one of the first things I had happen is I was talking to a spiritual healer who was going into her daughter's energy. Her daughter had had COVID, and she came out with a terrible case of brain fog. So her mother went into her energetically and was cleaning out. She said when she was climbing around in her brain, cleaning out the brain fog, it's like ooey gooey rubber cement had been left in her neurons. So her mother was gathering all this up, and she was just exhausted. And she heard from her guides, you have to do it now because they won't let you back in again. So her mother went through and cleaned up everything she could in her daughter's brain. And when she came out of it, she was sitting there, she was holding the mass of negative energy she didn't want to keep anymore. Well, in her training for doing that kind of healing, she'd been taught to send the energy back to Mother Earth, to Gaia, and Gaia would purify it. And when she was going to cast it to Gaia, it said, no, no, send it up into the sky. So she sent it up into the sky and watched it go up and up and up, and then went poof, and it disappeared. Shortly after that, I had a chance to sit and talk to Kim Carey, and I said, do you think that the energetic changes that are happening around us caused COVID? Did it change the DNA in the COVID that took that SARS stuff and made it what happened to all the rest of us? And she and I both thought about it. We knew it wasn't. No one else had tinkered with it. And that probably wasn't the right answer. But so people have been coming to me since back in 2020 asking me about energetic changes they were feeling. When Danny and I did the show in 2020, I guess it was in the fall of 2020, we did a thing on vibrations and how energies follow each other and how they change, and about the sacred geometry of vibrations, which I will show that video again. Whenever I show it, they demonetize me because they say a university owns it. And I got a note from the university. We don't care, but neither does YouTube. So anyway, so some of those things will be the things we'll be showing you. But recently, I kept thinking, I know, and I found articles where geneticists that were studying things for cancer were seeing cellular changes that they didn't cause by what they were doing. They began to realize that people were getting changed. There's some scientists who've looked at people who are not under chemotherapy or other kinds of treatments, and they're seeing changes in us. So we're changing. So then I got to thinking, well, if we're changing, does that mean critters are changing? Critters that are out all over the world. And I don't know if you saw the story a couple months ago, but killer whales started attacking ships that had come out and bothered them. And the killer whales were like turning into killers. And I remember hearing a comedian say, it's like someone threw a thesaurus into the ocean and they read, oh, that's what the term killer means. That's what we're supposed to do. So now they're doing it. But the one that got to me, and I just heard about it in the last week, is sea lions are stealing surfers' surfboards. They're climbing up on the surfers' surfboards and using their little feet to paddle away. They started doing it a year ago, and it didn't get as much press. But recently, it's got a whole lot of press because it's happening in other bays now. And the game and wildlife people are trying to figure out if it's particular seals or if they're going around teaching each other how to steal surfboards. Anyway, so I think we're going to see more and more very serious. We use pulsars to measure these spatial waves and all this stuff. And we're also going to see things like sea lions stealing surfboards. And it's all going to be kind of a fun ride. So that's why it's Ride the Wave. I don't expect anybody to have a degree in physics at the end of this. And my second husband was a physicist, and he used to always sit me down, and most of what I really understand about physics is what he told me. But he taught me a lot about subatomic particles And he also told me, he died in 2004, and he told me they're going to find out what the energy is that you tie to do what you do, to see the things you see. And they're going to find it in quantum theory. And I never understood that. And then the last year, I spent some time um, uh, reading and following quantum physics as it relates to what we do and as it relates to consciousness. And I think he's right. Anyway, and the other thing that's happening right now for the next 18 months is the nodes move on this, right after the new moon in the middle of this month. The nodes move, and they go into Aries and Libra. And one of the readers that was talking, one of the astrologers that was talking about nodal changes, she was saying it's an 18-month change and it happens every 18 or 19 years. So she said, go back 19 years and see what was going on in your life at that time. So I subtracted 19 years from where I am now. And 19 years ago, when the nodes were in this position, my second husband had just died. I had completely changed careers. I was left with a 13-year-old to raise. I had to figure out my new job, how to handle everything without Bill being there, because he took care of some of the basic background stuff in the house, because I'd been out being the breadwinner for a while. And at the end of that 18-month cycle, I was clearly established and working in politics, and had bought and was really gaining a lot of traction in that world. And so if this period, this Aries Libra node cycle is going to follow that one, it's going to be a crazy ride, because that was really everything in my life turned over, many times for the better. Sometimes it was just such a struggle. I didn't think I'd make it. But anyway, so I'm going to talk about some of the nodes, where they're going, and how we're getting more and more tied into understanding that stuff. When I studied astrology in the 1970s, the nodes were barely a thing. And it's a concept Western astrology took from Vedic astrology. Just like all of the sciences, we share lots of information, and we try to share with each other. So where I am on 9 candles, I've been told that they're going to follow chakras. I've been told it's going to be riding the wave. And Lauren Hudsinger, I'm going to give you an answer to what you just said. Her last in the 18-year cycle would have been a very downward path, a lot of major family events, illnesses, and things that things seem to go downward. But Pam Gregory today, she talked about it on a show I believe she released today, that that doesn't mean that the next 18 is going to follow that pattern, but it just means that's a part of your house, that's a part of your chart that it's hitting, and it won't be the same patterns, but it will mean certain changes in those houses. Okay, where am I in? I'm going to need to learn how to speak if I want to keep doing this. Where am I in the candle cycle? Danny and I are going to work up a thing. We're going to explain kind of a long introduction to where we are, and it's going to be about riding the wave, going into these major changes. And then I have a different reader with me, reader, astrologer, numerologist, all kinds of folks. I have a different one each day of the candle lighting. We light the candle. We put forth the intention that I will be programming into this, that I'm told to. And I will, and we light a candle for each day, and then you light the first candle, and then you light the first candle every time. So you build them all up around. If you haven't seen this before, there'll be 9 lit candles on the last day. And that's a summary. And what you can follow along with it. We're trying to give people as much notice as possible. The first time I did it, I just did it because I wanted to. It was in December of 2020, and uh, this one woman wrote me and she said, I put you on pause when I saw what you were doing. And then I went around my house and I found 9 red candles. And I was like, this woman must live in Michael's. Where else would you find 9 red candles? Hi, Kat. Um, and I'm like, whoa, this is so strange. And she did, and she followed it, and she said she lit them every day. And um, one woman said, do we blow them out every night? Yeah, you blow them out on that day. You don't keep them all burning, or you won't have any candles to light at the end. And we'll explain all the mechanics of that to you. And whew, and that's how I kind of developed the plans. I knew I was getting a lot of information about energy, but it's literally every time I open up my news feed, I have a new scientific study on some energy that shifted and changed because of what's happening out in the universe. And also, the sun's starting to show some cyclical changes. I just got an article on that today. And when it changes, we change. So that's kind of where we are with this. And I really want to do a big shout out. And she's already left because she has to go get lunch. But Kelly and on Dozen Cats for You, Dozen Cats Chat. What it's Dozen Cats. It's Kelly's channel, and she did a show where she and Cartomancy Mesquite, who's a reader who lives near me here in Texas, they both spent the afternoon reading for people in the garden, and it was really interesting. It's so much fun to watch other people use it because I channeled it in and I kind of think I know what it's supposed to do, but it's great fun to see other people using it. And I really appreciate them for putting the garden out there because people think, well, of course you can read the garden because you know the garden, but it's really doesn't kind of work that way. But I really appreciate them putting it on. I appreciate them spending the time learning it. If you're interested in a garden, you can go to my website, which is it's at this www.crystaldirections.com. You got to put that HTTPS, whatever that means, in the front, and it'll take you there, and you can see more about the garden. I'm hoping in the next week to have some short little garden readings on there so people can see the garden being read. So, with that all said, we're going to read in the garden because I did ask people if they had any comments about or questions about the changes that are upcoming. And I'm rearranging things off the garden so I can read it. And I got 2. Oh, by the way, this was my favorite thing. I love that graphic I found that I put up of the circular rainbow where the guy took it up in the sky and you saw both bows of the rainbow. You saw the whole thing. I loved that picture. I agree with these people. It's an amazing shot. So glad to see the full circle. And it does give you a real sense of perspective about rainbows. And I didn't know rainbows could get cooler either. But then I saw that picture and I snatched that one right up. Okay, let's see. Yes. Paulina wants to know, yes, what will light up for me this summer to fall? Okay. I'm going to switch to the camera that's on the table. Get you guys over here and get this, get the feather out of the garden. And, okay, let's see what's Paulina's summer and fall look like. What are some highlights and things she needs to know? Well, it's all going to be summer and fall. Some things started this spring that you've become aware of. Summer's not going to be so active. It's really things you carried out of what you started to work on this spring. I'll tell you how you tell time with the garden. What's ever directly across from you is winter. Then this is spring. This little wedge is spring. This is summer. And this wedge, this part, is fall. Having read Tarot for so long and having such crappy ass time clocks built into Tarot, I really wanted this to work. and I'm glad it does. So we're going to start with the summer, and it shows that your mind, this is the mind stone, the orange calcite is the mind, and it is final thoughts on your situation are coming. So you've got some ideas about things that are moving in the positive way, but you're not sure about them yet. Now, where did this come from? The genesis of this was your spirit was beginning to transform, and you were beginning to have some really clear thoughts about it. And it's what you do inside your mind that's going to help you get to the abundance you need. So you're right now, you're having some final thoughts about it. Now, what happens when you get to your body being in the south, in this part of the thing in the south? And it says it's something you've done before, and you're going to bring it back in, and it's going to be more successful than ever. Now, what do we do about the clarity stone, which ended up in all 4 of these? So your clarity says, use ideas to carry from your past or past lives to find a solution. Be sure that your thoughts are clear. You have many paths ahead of you, but you will find the correct one, and you have all the clarity you need. When you do get to that point, follow that path, and it will resolve all your situations. So since the earth is embodying the past, and this is saying you're going to pull the past together, I think you're going to have a bright opportunity that you become aware of this spring is going to come into your life. So that's the answer for Paulina about how she's riding the wave of change. Everybody, I've been doing a lot of 6-month readings, and a lot of them have had been feeling that kind of change, and there's been a lot of change moving. People who felt stuck for years, they're beginning to feel moving. I mean, like physically moving, like everything, that kind of stuff going on. So this is the next question that I got in the comments that attached to the announcement. I'll get it straight. I'm really not thinking well today. I must be ready to party for the 4th, even though I'm not going to party. I'm going to make a pot roast. This is for your question of good vibrations. Positive changes will you be experiencing this summer? Good vibrations, energy. Oh, well, you're getting set up to do a whole lot of stuff. That's kind of interesting. 3 stones in 1. You're working on a lot of past life stuff, and maybe it is past life stuff. I'm not altogether sure, but I wouldn't have said it if it wasn't somehow right. In fire, you're going to be embodying things from your past. Do not become so tied up in tracking that stuff down that you lose your present. And you have clarification comes from dealing with your past. Some's going to be coming out of your past life that you're going to bring forward in a positive way, because you're getting clarity out of your past. And use lessons you've already learned in your life before now to move forward in this situation. But this is a big one for you, because the spirit and sacral, it's in the sacral chakra, and that your spirit stone fell there. And it's going to have something to do with, you're going to become back in touch with something that makes you feel creative and alive and wonderful. And you're going to be able to shift all these stones that have been clustered up here. You're going to see the way to get out of being tied to those. So that's going to really bring good vibrations energy. You're going to have a lot of good vibrations energy coming around on you in the near future. And I don't think that's fall. You asked for summer. I didn't ask for a time. So that's where you got. So let me go back to comments. And let's see. I'm going to mark the ones. So, because I don't like to leave anyone out. Okay. Somebody wants me to check out the Tangerine Dream. Okay. Okay, I don't see any up that high. It seemed to be came in with a question. Okay. I've got about 4 of them. Okay. Let's start to get them in the right order. Okay. Okay. Can I get a garden reading? Throw on my tangerine dream. Please and thank you. Okay. So you're so polite, Vernie. Okay. Okay. Stones, what do you want to say about Vernie's dream? Whoa. Got a lot to say about Vernie's dream. Third eye and that. When a stone falls in 2 places, I have to read both places. But whatever that dream struck you as, I'm going to try to figure that out for you. The very, you always start with the heart. And I'm going to hide your thing so I can see it. This is the heart area, the way I lay the garden out. That's your heart. It's got clarity in it. And you always start where the heart is. And that came from another person who reads the garden frequently, who's channeled in quite a few things about it. And clarity in the heart. Wisdom comes from the clarity of your emotions. So that's the first thing. And so your tangerine dream had to do with clarifying your emotions. Now, your spirit is in go for it and the root chakra. And connection with the spirit is needed. And it's trying to tell you to reconnect to your spiritual self. And you've got go for it. And your spirit's aligned with the ideas you're beginning to have. Your mind is in the root chakra also. And when your mind is in the root chakra, its creativity is the key to your own security. So it means you have to put your own creative thinking, even if it may not be what everybody else thinks. It's what you really want to have happen. And then the other one you have out in the chakra area is the third eye. And it says right now you're bringing in an abundance into your life, including the manifesting of your decision. And that also falls into path forward. These are incredibly positive places for this stuff to be. More abundance is about to be creative. Now, where is your body in this? Where is your physical self and the physical vehicle you're walking around this earth on? And it says physical changes are coming. So whatever this dream was about, it was about changes. It was about something you could do creatively that was going to bring around some really big changes for you. And it's something from your past that you can work with and embody and bring in and really work with it. So I'd say overall, your tangerine dream is something that you have all of the energy within you to make positive. You just have to agree to do it. Okay. And let's see, Roni, why? What changes should I be working on? Okay. Areas of change for Roni, why? Okay. You also got, today's a heart chakra day. You also got your first stone. This is the one that's going to tell us the most about this reading. And spirit's making your heart come alive. So you should definitely be working with spirit on things that make you feel enlivened. And you also have your body isn't true. And that's kind of a fun one because I wrote all the impressions of what happens in each of these spaces with each of these stones. I channeled that all in one afternoon. And when I stood up from my computer after typing it, I collapsed. My body was just gone. I didn't connect back to this earth, but this was my only one-word answer. True. It's true as yes. Whatever you work on, whatever you put your heart into, Roni, this is the time those changes are totally achievable for you. Now, change, the earth, fire, water, air. Earth to me is where things grow up from. Fire is the past, and it's the things that purify us and make us change and make us transmute, transconfigure, all that stuff, then the water is washing away. It's clearing out. It's where we take the whatever we've manifested, move it on. The air is totally energetic and air and up there. It's not on the earth. And it's where our ideas take flight. It's always a thought. Every time a stone falls in there, it's about something you think. So your clarity is in water. You have all the clarity you need. Follow one of the paths and use your force to resolve every situation. So I think you've kind of got it narrowed down. You'll find that out from your mind. Your mind is in earth. Oh, you're just a little short of having all the final situations. You have all the information built up. You're about to hit the final situation. And then in your past, you have the pyrite, which is our grounding elements. Look for patterns. Look to the patterns up to now to find which values you need. So you've seen a whole pattern working towards you. All you have to do is finally say yes. And you can move all the stuff forward. And your spirit's really tied to this, Roni. So that's what you should be working on. It's not a series of changes. It's a change inside you to trust your spirit and your intuition. I think that's good because it puts you in charge. You're not waiting for somebody else to make their mind up. Let's see who else got it. Okay. Oh, this looks interesting. How do I maneuver through the mess with X? I take it you're not in an algebra course and that's the X you're talking about. You're talking about, and maybe an X person, or maybe it's just a person who you don't choose to name. Okay, how can Blood Moon maneuver through the mess with X? What's the next few movements she can take? Because I have a feeling in my heart that this is a longer than 5 stones can begin to cover it question. But we're going to, what's the maneuvering she needs to do now? And your spirit almost rolled off the board. And the spirit stone looks like this. It's real hard for it to roll off the board. I put my hand up, it bounced back into throat chakra. Yeah, you're in a mess. Groundings in water. It says right now, whatever you're doing with this person right now, those have a chance of settling in to long-term patterns. So whatever choices you make them very carefully, because if it's accommodating them, then you're going to be accommodating them forever. If it's trying to buy them off, then you're going to have to buy them off. Whatever maneuvers you're doing with this person right now, those are the ones that are going to become long-term for you. And your mind in the past. It says you need a break from all previous experiences you've had with this person in order to be able to move forward. And you need to learn from those experiences of how you tried to deal with the situation. Your spirit fell into throat chakra. That's the one that almost rolled off the board. And throat chakra is tough. That's when we have to speak our own truth. The spirit shines through your self-expression. When you express yourself, when you truly feel what you want to do, that's when this will move forward. Your clarity is in fire. Not my favorite spot for clarity to be, but that's okay. Use the ideas you carry from your past and past lives to find the solution to this. And then you have your body. And when I told you, when things lie between 2 lines, I have to read them. This one has all 6 of these areas are being affected. This is huge to your physical form. It's huge to the real physical world, the 3D world around you. I'm going to start with restate. Your options just for you right now are absolutely not clear. What's the solar plexus telling us? Your body's going to bring forth the power you need for your physical form. You've got to free your heart from being tied to this. You have to use more of your mind than being tied to your heart. Your freedom comes from not being tied to your heart. The fallacy is, did someone tell you you have a past life connection to this and you can't get out of it? I'll listen to your body's own signals, because you didn't think that was true at the time. the earth is saying physical changes are totally capable of doing those. And it means when you let go, when you look at your past, deal with it, and move on. And you need to do that because what you're doing is setting into long-term things. So I think these stones are telling me to declare your freedom and express what Blood Moon wants to do, not what the other person wants them to do. And this is a time to start shedding people that are trying to make us work for them instead of us. Okay. Well, Vernie says she thinks she can use what I told her. And Roni says she can use what I told her. And I know I've only been at this about a little more than an hour and a half. One thing, and if anybody else has questions, they could type them in. But I'm going to go back to me on the camera. Ta-da! Here we are. What I'd like you to tell me is if you're feeling a lot of things that are, I know we're all feeling the shift. We're all feeling the changes. We just had a full moon yesterday, which was pretty other places. It was cloudy here, so you couldn't really see it. But this is a time to really thank the universe for every place you've gotten to and open your heart up to being able to bring about changes in your life. That's really important. And if you can write me through my website, or you can make comments at the end of this, topics you'd like to see covered in the 9 candles when we're talking about the changes that are going on and the shifts of consciousness and the coming. I guess I'll explain this part about finding scientific things that, and we kind of chuckle about them and go, yeah, we've known that for a while. A lot of the studies in the physicists are making in the study of consciousness, they're learning that we can do a lot more with our brain than we thought we could. It's because we lived in a society that said no to everything that we are now beginning to understand was a yes, and that was to control us. And when I listen to their studies, sometimes it's kind of like, yeah, we knew that a while ago. But some of the vibrations and some of the energetics that are coming from the universe, the photonic energy shifts. Okay, I've got another question that's come in. I'm going to mark it. I'll get to you in a second. I want to finish this thought. The photonic energy and this thing, this giant, what they used to call it the giant hum, because that's how they catch them through radio waves and the radio telescopes, which are like a whole nother, they're not like the little ones you looked through when you were a kid and looked at the moon and stuff. They're very sophisticated, but to figure out this hum, they became aware of it in 2015. And okay, got another one. And what happened was I think some Australians were the first ones who found it. Then they started saying, are you seeing it too? Americans were seeing it. Chinese were seeing it. Researchers in India were seeing it. Researchers in Europe were seeing it. And all of a sudden, everybody was looking for it, trying to figure out where in space it came from. And I'll do a whole show on how they did that. It was fascinating. But it really started hitting the earth, and in a big way, where they knew it's not going away. It's going to be here. About 2017, when the other shifts started happening, and we started getting energized a different way. And all of us can benefit from knowing this stuff if you care to know. If not, my attitude up until about a year ago was, that's lovely. Scientists can do science. I'll do what I do. But they're helping to validate some of what we do or how we feel. And I think it's good to know if that helps you feel like it's a more real thing than to go with that. And it's getting us ready. It's expanding our minds so we can accept newer and bigger concepts. But I used to always think my husband was one of the, well, he was a true scientist. He helped build semiconductors in this country. He helped build their front ends, how they were manufactured. He came up with the epoxy that allowed, he and another guy at his work came up with the epoxy. They have the Pioneer patent. It's a paint they put on microchips so they can go into space and not get blown away by the solar winds. And he always said, uh, you know, he said, well, think of it this way. Before we understood electricity, before we understood all that stuff, when lightning came out of the sky, everybody, they had to make up a god, Thor. They had to make up a god, Zeus. We used to, say that was angels throwing those things. Angels did in the way, by the way, in the Bible did get blamed for throwing lightning down on people. And then all of a sudden, in the Renaissance, and people began to understand what electricity was, and we learned how to put it in wires and how to create generators and how to make it go all around the world. And all of a sudden, we don't need Thor anymore. We don't need Zeus anymore. It's not paranormal, supernatural. It's part of how the world really works. So what we do and what I do is part of how the world really works, because I'm tied to the one great source, and we all are. And when we get to that point and admit that and understand it and aren't afraid of it anymore, we can all go forward. We can do whatever skills and abilities we were born with. Got two. Okay, we've got. I'm going to show this one. Who was my ex in a past life, and he will not let go or be fair. Okay, Blood Moon, you have to let him go. He's not going to let you go. You have to draw a line in the universe and say spiritually, I'm not tied to this anymore. And that's a tough thing to do, because we were all raised to kind of have to people please and do things to make other people happy. Well, nothing you will ever do will make him happy. If you want a past life reading on this, you'd have to do that privately, because this is way too deep for me to do on a talk show. And you can find out how to do that through my website. And I'm not hyping for work, guys. I'm doing enough 6-month readings and grid building to make me quite happy. Thank you. But I know that there may be a way to see that, but at the end of the day, in this life, you're going to have to be the one that lets him go. And that's what the signs that are changing, that's what we're going through. And when Pluto comes back out in January, that'll be another good time to say goodbye to all this. But you can cut the cords now. Okay, I'll do a quick thing. I can tell you this much. Archangel Michael carries around a big bad sword, right? I don't know if you believe in angels or not, but you get in a quiet state, you get settled down in the center of your body, and you call upon Archangel Michael, and you can bring in Uriel or Raphael for healing, because you've got a lot of heart healing to do about this. And I'd ask Raphael to come along with them, and you'll feel their presence. You'll feel that they're standing beside you. And then you ask Archangel Michael to take his sword and sever all low and discordant energies from around you, and ask him to cut to the left, to the right, to the front, to the back, above and below. And I knew about the ceremony for years, and I thought, oh yeah, he's going to come cut those. And then one Sunday I was sitting around and I was really bored. And so I decided to try it. And I sat in my chair and got really comfortable and quiet. And I called him in, and I called him in with Ariel, who's also one of my favorite angels. And I said, would you cut any low discordant power energy cords that are connected to me? And I swear to you, I felt energy coming back in my body going, whoop, or he'd cut it, and the part I was supposed to keep came back into me. Do that. See if you can cut him out of your life that way. Right now, to get energetically free of him, because he's got you convinced. Someone told you were connected to him in a past life, and just because you knew someone in a past life doesn't mean you have to do jack with them in this one. Just like if you met someone in this life and you found out they're extremely negative, you don't need to hang around with them. I mean, there's no law. Okay, we got another garden question. Okay, I'm going to do this one with a pendulum because it's a kind of real yes no. And I just hit my keyboard. I hope it doesn't take me away. It's done that before. Okay, gotta get out a pendulum. And by the way, G. Covington, you're doing the right thing by going and having someone verify what your pendulum says. Because I just personally know I can't really read my own stuff. I have to go talk to other people. So we're going to go back to the camera that people can see because my hand gets tired waving in front of my face. Okay, we're going to Okay. Is G. Covington's pendulum telling her the whole truth? It says yes. That's yes. When it swings away from me, that's a yes. If I were you, I think we'd stop with that one because that's a whole lot to have happen. But just focus on do it in the order you think it needs to come, which I take it as new job, then new person, and then the moving. But okay. I don't know why you guys are asking me healing questions. If you want to talk to someone, catch Dr. Gail at Dr. Gail's channel. She does them. She used to do them every Tuesday, but today's 4th of July, and I know she's off because she's in the chat. But she's actually was a chiropractor. She's also a degreed nurse, and she can really look inside your bodies. I can't do that so well, but I can ask the stones if there's a way, a path to manifest to help you with your joint pain. Oh, okay. You've got one in the upper chakras. You've got the crown chakra there, and it's enlightenment. So what's it telling me? What's the spirit telling me in enlightenment? And it's saying, spirit harmonizes with all your efforts. So I think you're going to find out it's as much of an energy disruption in your body as something they might have a pill for. Now, your body is in water, which is kind of interesting because that's what's kind of flowing away from us. It's saying that you need to learn how to ground more. I think okay, the impression I'm getting is you don't live in your body, your energies don't stay in your body, but when they come back in, they go, ooh, this is uncomfortable here. You have to learn how to let your spirit and your body work together. In your air, you've got your mind, how you think about things. I'm sure you're going to say this. Your moods are all important as to how you really feel. And then you've got clarity and grounding coming up out of the earth. And clarity says you have many paths ahead of you, but the correct one will appear to you in the future, which means you might hear a lot of different solutions, but the one that's supposed to work, you're really going to tie into that. And then more needs to be brought forward inside of you in order to conquer this. But if you have like a chakra imbalance or an energy imbalance, I think you could benefit from Dr. Gail does kind of healing. Jeffrey at Ripe Color, who reads with me, he does a pendulum healing and another couple things. But if y'all didn't see the show that Danny and Jeffrey did yesterday. It was to be honor the full moon. And Jeffrey normally does the show on the full moon. And he got together with Danny. I didn't know they were going to be on. All of a sudden, open it up. Oh, there they are. And it was just like if I was sitting around talking to him. They did a lot of talky, but Jeffrey also explained the options he has in healing in the way. And Dr. Gail makes it very clear where she works from in healing. She works with Solaris Healing Center, which is an intergalactic thing. But those two are sources I know of. I know of other energetic healers, but they don't have channels where you can kind of go see them and look at them and see if there's someone you can work with. But one of the things Danny said in the show yesterday that I think is really, really wise is he mentioned to people, you can go to Jeffrey and get, one healing or one session of this. But healings don't work that way. Healings are like you start to clean your house and you get it straightened up and it all looks great and you think it'll never fall apart again. And then you walk in 2 weeks later. And if you haven't done the basic maintenance to keep it up, it looks like it looked before you did the hardcore cleaning. So that's kind of about all our health, that it gets like that. I'm going through a spate of that right now because my lung issues are coming back and I thought they were gone and they're not. And what can I say? Okay. And Paulina, this is, for those of you who don't know, I have a way, if I do a reading for people and I put together 3 or 4 crystals as a compass to help them harmonize with themselves, then I also have heart and throat chakra eggs. This is the throat chakra egg. And it comes a little stand, or you can put it in your own little whatever you have that will make it stand up. But this is, it's a way of focusing your energy together with the crystals, together with the intentions of that chakra. And I found the reason I started, I have designs for all 7 of the chakras. I do not have money to make all 7 of the chakras. So I have a few heart chakras and a few throat chakras in-house. And then otherwise it takes about 4 weeks for me to get them manufactured out of Wisconsin. They're not, I don't think they're terribly expensive because I know what we went through to make this, but I won't bore you with that story again. This is people who use this. Dr. Gail uses them in her healings. And if you have a throat issue, and I think every human that was ever born in our time stream has a heart issue or a throat issue. We don't know how to speak up for ourselves. We don't know how to open our own heart. I know that was sort of my path to where I am now. At one point, I weighed over 300 pounds. And it wasn't until I got around the blockage in my heart energy, because I had great things coming in from the space and I could see everything. And I actually could still say everything that came out of these 2 chakras. But then they'd hit my heart and they would just stop. They couldn't go anywhere because my heart was just not letting energy through. Same thing from the other direction. You get great awakenings in your root chakras and very important parts of you. You get into your sacral chakra, which is full of creative ideas. You get the creative idea, you push it up into the solar plexus, you have all that golden light to spread it out in the world. It hits the heart chakra. And if your heart chakra is not open. So I opened the 2 chakras in my 60 plus years of reading cards. I found people needed mostly it's their heart, then it's their throat, because they got to learn how to speak up for themselves. And I've had people send me testimonials about the eggs, and one of them, he's a very spiritual person. He works a lot with Akashic Records and a lot of interdimensionality and portals and stuff. And he told me that that's what he used it for now, was his heart chakra was his interdimensional portal. When he focused on it, that the portals opened up much more easily for him. I think the eggs become a reflection of who you are. And I think they help you work with your own energy where you are. And Dr. Gail uses them to heal people. She'll say, I'm sending you this energy the through the throat chakra egg. And she'll tell people, if you get that and you work with it, it comes with a little wand, and it comes with uh, an allowance prayer where you allow your energy to join with the egg. And people tell me they work. That's all I can go by. I mean, I was told they would and I should believe my guides at this point, because they tell me lots of things, guys. So I'm just saying, you have to kind of try and figure it out. But if you go to my website, which is there, you can see all these wonderful things if you've never heard about them before. And let's see. Okay, we just got. Okay, I gotta go back. I'm gotta go back and read some. Someone can't wait for sound energy to come. Sound energy is here a lot. Sorry, Carol, it's okay. You can watch from the beginning again. Okay, and okay. Blood Moon says no one told her about her ex being in her past life. She just knows it. So I think it's more a matter of you just need to cut all those cords because they're really tied to you. Okay, here's Kathleen says that Dr. Gales usually does Solaris Healing Center on Wednesdays. And I know she's got a show tomorrow. I don't know if that's what it's about. Probably is, because that's what she's very good at, being very methodical. And here's the ways to reach her for those who might. She's a nurse, chiropractor, intuitive medical. Dr. Gail Starseed Healer. Email is drgailstarseed@gmail.com. And let's see if. Okay. I'm so close to the end. I'll see what I can do about this one. And then I'm gonna look and see if anything else. Okay, and Sharon Sipes put in how to support my channel, which I would dearly love. And also, you support me by getting a reading. Okay, we're going to do Flea Little Piggy, and then I'm going to close the camera, and you're going to be closed on the garden, not me. So bye, everybody. When I do this, after this, Flea Little Piggy. Okay, we're going to throw stones for Flea Little Piggy, which is a lovely handle. Ooh. Flea Little Piggy's clarity is a touch in the heart. So we're going to start from there. But it's just a touch. It's just over the line. Wisdom comes with the clarity emotions. But you know what? Your wisdom does come from the clarity emotions. You just don't listen to them, lady. You don't pay attention when your vision's clouded right now. You just won't, your visions can be clear as a bell. You have to decide to let it be. You've got your spirit growing out of the earth, and your spirit's transforming. It's not finished yet. That would make sense with that. And your body is in the air, and it says you need to ground your thoughts. I'm seeing a real clear pattern to this. And then your grounding stone is in restate. And restate's interesting. Restate is the part of the garden where you need to go and take all the ideas you have and see which one, look at them in the dirt in the garden and see what's growing and what isn't, and weed out what you don't need and keep the good plant. And how that works out with this is rethink, and don't be blinded by fool's gold. Don't be blinded by, oh, well, that looks like a nice one. Really, it means think, rethink. And then this is the most important stone for you right now on this board, and it's the future. It's that your mind's in the present. Signs and clues are present right now, but you still should be thinking of whatever you're trying to work towards It's in the future sense because you have to get yourself to where your clarity's with your heart and it's with your full wisdom. Something right now is you're letting a lot of false junk into your thinking. And none of us need false junk in our thinking. We all need to move forward when we feel clear. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you all. Thank you, the moderators. Thank you, Sharon Sipe, who's always there and is always so good. I don't think the woman sleeps. And I'll keep you in the loop about the riding the wave and what this 9 candles can be about. But right now is your chance to have input into the 9 candles. That's what I'm looking for from people. I want to thank you all for being here. Goodbye.